Hello and welcome to a special mental health gaming bonuscast. Recently, we've had both the Xbox price reveal and we've just had the PlayStation 5 Showcase with their price reveals and something of a games lineup. So discuss it, I'm joined again by Stu and also by Rebecca. How you doing, guys?
Excited to talk about all that I saw last night.
Yeah.
Right, so my job is to see if I can make you less excited. That's what I do. No, it's definitely was an interesting presentation. I thought I was in for the night. I thought it was going to be like 2-3 hours. I don't know why. So to have it only an hour was kind of nice. But seeing as you are out of all of us, are we allowed to call you a fangirl? Can we go that far?
Yeah, you can call me a fangirl if you want.
God, tell us what you thought of the presentation.
Yeah, I am a bit of a Sony fangirl. The only one I haven't had is the PlayStation 3. And I thought it was really well done last night. It showed off a lot of stuff for a lot of different people, really showed off what the PlayStation 5 can do. And then obviously leading into the end with the price reveal, everyone was waiting to hear this news after Xbox prices were kind of leaked and then revealed then. And there were some titles I was really looking forward to hearing anything about, and I was a very happy camper last night.
Yeah, so in terms of prices, I'm on the side of going, I don't think we're going to have a out and out winner this generation. I think both companies have set their stalls out. They're targeting different markets to a degree, and I think the only winners this generation are going to be us, the consumers, because I looked at it and went, I can actually get theoretically both consoles for the price of what I was expecting one of them to be, pretty much. So there's options for people, and I'm glad Sony have followed suit to a degree.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, everyone online is like, oh, this one won and this one won, but it all depends on what you prefer. Like, I am big into Sony's exclusives, so I knew I was getting, before it was even revealed, it's like, I'm getting PlayStation. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, because there are games that they released on PS4 that are getting sequels this generation, and there's no way I'm not going to play them.
No, of course. So, see, for me, it's kind of weird. It's like, it's all about Game Pass for me this coming generation, because it allows me to play games without having to spend out fortunes, because I've got a family. I can't spend out, all my spare cash on what I want. It simply goes on what they want.
Yeah, see, I've got the PC. I've got a pretty decent PC, and I've got Game Pass on that, and I don't have any kids. It's just me. So, like, I have my PC, and then I have the Switch, and then I have the PS4, and later the PS5. And with that, I feel like I've got a bit of everything. Like, I've my hands in every single honeypot in terms of gaming that's coming out.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That covers all the bases. And I think from last night's reveal, it was like, yeah, this is the niche that we're going to take, and it very much sits parallel to the Microsoft strategy without there being very much overlap at all, which I think is really clever. And even though I wasn't quite as excited, I didn't really bring a lot for me. I'm kind of in the same situation as you, Bex, but I'm more focused towards, very heavily focused towards PC. And I was like, oh yeah, well, okay. The best and most important things that can come out of this for me would be stuff like, like the Final Fantasy reveal, but also stuff like Jak and Daxter, really just to see what it can do with the ray tracing, and then all of the other exclusives, like more of the next God of War, and then maybe a hint towards a Last of Us or any kind of Naughty Dog thing, and also the sorry, go on.
Did you say Jak and Daxter? Did you mean Ratchet and Clank?
Oh, bugger, yes, I did.
I was like, wait, was there Jak and Daxter news? I didn't hear of it.
Yeah, no, I just think of them as exactly the same game. That's because, I never play them. But I was kind of like, oh yeah, it'll be this very heavy rolling Sony thing of everything's an exclusive, even if it's going to be further down the line. And I felt that, because they showed a lot of cross-platform titles, it wasn't as exciting. But then they got to the end and they said, oh, and it's basically going to be the equivalent of Pocket Change, and there's this thing with, PS Plus where you get all the exclusives and stuff. And it was like, oh, God, yeah, they've just knocked it right out of the park right at the last minute.
No, I heard someone in the lead up to the conference say that Sony is like a really fancy restaurant, but Xbox is like a really fantastic like Vegas casino buffet.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
get a bit of everything, or you can sit in the restaurant and have the exact fancy things that you want. Both are good. It's just entirely depends on what you're in the mood for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good analogy.
What's becoming obvious to me, though, going into this generation, Microsoft has started it, but I think Sony have just cemented it. You mentioned it with the PS Plus collection, and with games going to a £70 recommended retail price, then I think we're moving completely into subscription-based gaming in the next generation. I think we're going to start looking at outright sales of games being completely secondary, and this is Sony testing the waters with what backwards compatible PlayStation 4 games are going to work with this, and what sort of like leverage. Oh, sorry, what sort of traction are we going to get with the PlayStation Plus collection? Doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Game Pass yet, but that's because it is
No.
new, I suppose. But
we're not putting you in charge of naming it, Brad.
no. I mean, it's called the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
What they could call it is the PlayStation Plus Pass.
But you see, that's the thing. Like that would cause
Confusion.
a confusion as to like what is it? Where it is a collection, you're not getting everything.
Yeah.
You're getting the cream of the crop collection from the PS4 era.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on these? This is the major thing that Sony have pretty much come out and said new games are going to be looking at £70 RRP. What's your reaction to that side of it?
I'm gonna have to be very careful on which one I pick because I'm broke, and it is actually pushing me towards the disc version because I'm hoping then that there'll be like trade-ins and stuff like that I can get at a bit of a cheaper price because I am a poor student.
Yeah.
It's
a big deal. I think that what the clever part of the Xbox strategy is, and this is just making me sound like an Xbox fanboy, but no, I'm not, is that, you can have xCloud. So you can pay for stuff, pay for the Game Pass and just play it on an Android or whatever device. And I'm concerned that Sony's strategy will do things like you said, price you out of the market, Bex, for stuff. Me at the moment with my financial situation and cut down on the second-hand market. Whereas, Microsoft's strategy seems to be, well, if you want to do it on the cheap, here's the cheap route. You've got it and you're not going to miss out. I don't know if that sort of resonates as well, because $70, €70, £70 is a lot of money.
It is. That's where it comes in. And that's why I think the companies now, I think they're trying to force the retail market out completely, or the buy once market gone completely. From the cynical point of view, if they could price people out of buying £70 games and put them into a subscription service instead, they could push microtransactions, season passes, all kind of things like that. They can push that a lot easier because you're getting the game, as people will start to see it, free because it's part of the subscription. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think they're setting that foundations for that now. But again, it's why I'm glad there's options, because I will pick up a PlayStation 5. Guarantee I'll pick up a PlayStation 5, but I will do it down the line once I've seen what the exclusives are like, and if there's ones that I really, really, really want. But for cross-gen games, for multi-platform games, then for me it's like a £250 entry, and Game Pass does it for me. There's my options there. But I think we are going to see the generation where both consoles are being bought in the long term, and we're going to see maybe a couple of million difference between the systems. And I think the big thing is just going to be that push to subscription, because £70 a game is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a lot of money, especially when, like, for some Sony titles, like I know that I love them, but for others, it's like, is this a game I really want?
Yeah.
And at £70, like that's like nearly half my week's wages.
Yeah. And the issue you get with that as well is if we look at what the AAA market does at the moment, that £70 is not going to be an all-in experience either. That's your entry price for a lot of games. Now, I'm not buying Ubisoft games at present anyway because we know why, because of scum reasons. But we know that if you buy an Ubisoft game currently at the £50 RRP or whatever it is, that's not the full version of the game you're getting. You still need to pay above that. The ultimate editions, which are 80 to 90 quid, are still not the full versions of the game. You need to buy 3 or 4 different versions of that one game to get the full experience. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at ultimate editions of games now topping £100? And then the ultimate editions, which are apparently the better ones, are we looking at 150 quid guaranteed there? It's just looking that there's a slippery slope there if that's what they're going for. But I say, I don't think they're doing it to do more of that. I actually think it's to move away from retail sales completely.
Yeah, no, because even like I bought the Persona 5 Royal, like Ultimate Edition, and that was like 90 quid. And that was like a super big treat to myself for getting through like my first year of college.
Was that one? Did it come with anything, or was that like just the?
Came with a lot of like DLC stuff. Like it wasn't story content. It was all like.
Care about DLC, Rebecca? Did it come with any tat? It came with tat. As long as it came with physical tat, that's all that.
Oh no! I didn't actually know. I bought it digitally.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
No.
Because it was in the middle of the lockdown, so I couldn't actually. I did want to get the physical version because it came with a mask.
Yeah.
But
Oh, nice.
But I was too like late on it because I was just like no, because if I pre-order the special edition, it's gonna arrive before the college year is out, and I'm not allowed to play it until the college year is finished.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think they've looked at a lot, both companies, because you can leave Nintendo out of this entirely because they do.
Oh yeah, they play their own little game over there.
Christ knows what they're doing at the moment, so yeah, that's a whole other discussion.
They are complete nutters, and they do things, and you're like, that's not going to work, and then it does. So yeah, they're totally on their own. But yeah, the two others, so Sony and Microsoft, they've clearly gone, okay, well, if we wipe out the retail market, we're saying that we're going to strike out lots of different regions of the world and just class them as not earning for us. Because there are some countries that just literally can't afford any of these prices. But they've clearly looked at it and gone, yeah, but the amount we can... The whales, the way they call people who spend the most, the prosumers, they call them whales. The whales are clearly going, okay, well, I'm going to buy like 4 games a year at full price, and then on top of those I'm going to carry on with the MTX all the way through that. And they must have worked out that they can just close off entire markets pretty much, bar like maybe $10 per person or less in entire areas, just because they can squeeze as much cash out of as people as they can. And it's very concerning from the retail perspective, because not everyone has great internet, not everybody has enough disposable income to keep up with this. And so yeah, no, it's a bit of a dodgy turn on top of everything else. I don't know what you guys think.
And also with the current global crisis that's going on, that's going to affect everything financially anyway, how many people will have a spare 70 quid to get the latest game? Whereas I think more and more people will be able to afford £20 a month, say, for example. Let's go high. Let's say Sony charge 30 quid a month for PlayStation Plus collection, or whatever that ends up becoming long term. That's still cheaper than the cost of a brand new game, and you'll get everything on top of that. So that's £30 a month. That leaves technically another £40 a month that may have been budgeted towards that game to then go towards microtransactions. So it makes sense for them. I think Sony to jump on board. I think they've only had to look at the success of Game Pass and what that's doing for Microsoft to realise that is what they've got to do next. And this PlayStation Plus collection is a very clever way to get that started, because it'd be interesting to see what they do with this. But I think this is going to be a good move for us as consumers again. Like,
wait and see how like it goes, because again, I don't think the price of the games is entirely based on the fact that like they've decided we're going to make them this price, because again, the level of work that's going into these games as well, like it's just going to drive up the prices compared to what it was. Because even what it was, I remember it being €50 for a game in the PS2 era.
Yeah.
And a €30 jump, considering the absolute increase in hardware across the board and all levels of the market, is just like, it's kind of reasonable, because games are just becoming kind of more expensive to make, because you need to keep pushing it further, keep making it more interesting, give more content. Otherwise your game just kind of falls to the wayside.
See, without getting into a debate on that one, because that's a completely different debate, the reason that is happening is not down to us as gamers. That's down to the marketing men at the corporate side of things. They're telling us we want this, we want that. Where you look at probably one of the most anticipated games of this year, of 2020, is Spelunky 2. And what that is, then you only need to look at then how much do we actually need these outstandingly amazing, super hyper realistic graphics with huge, expansive open worlds that need this and this and this? Do we need that, or are we being told we need that? And it's an interesting thing, because again, I'm not dismissing that, say, for example, the Miles Morales game looks fantastic, and I loved Spider-Man. I think it'll play fantastic as well. But I think we're being told that that's what games have got to become, when I don't think that is the case. I want Miles Morales to be a special standout game, not just another game that follows a certain formula, which it is becoming, because that's all the bigger companies are trying to make now, are these massive over-the-top experiences.
I don't know if that's what we're being told that we want. It's one of the things on the spectrum of games, because then you look at Nintendo, they have their more cartoony graphics, and they do really well. So it's just on the spectrum of different types of games, because we've always had that semi-realistic, we've always had the cartoony stuff, and the simpler stuff, like, going throughout the generations.
Yeah, I kind of sit between the both of you on it. My thought is, I think they've engineered things so that they can maximize their profit, and they feel as though there's more profit to be had on things like the likes of us, The Last of Us 2.
The likes of us.
Yeah, that would be a much different game. It's going to be much fluffier. I can imagine
how many there's going to be of those over the next few years. The Likes of Us probably is more apt than The Last of Us.
It's like we call a Soulsborne game. If you see something that's gritty like The Last of Us, you call it a Likes of Us.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, there you go. You've coined that one.
I like that. But yeah, no, I think they feel unfairly that they've probably left money on the table, because like your COD games, Call of Duty stuff, you'll sell that for the same price as The Last of Us 2, but you'll earn loads from players buying maps, character skins, whatever, guns, I don't know what. I don't play them, but they'll do that. Whereas it's pretty much one and done. Like some people will buy the DLC for Last of Us 2, but the majority probably won't, So they feel that there's more money on the table there. So I think, yeah, there's ways and means, and they're always in the wrong for just trying to want to wring as much out of consumers as they can. But I also, at the same time, agree with Bex that the amount of time that goes into development has increased vastly, and the resources needed. So I think there's probably a happy medium that they haven't struck.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And if I sounded dismissive over the effort that goes into making these games, that wasn't the point of what I was trying to say, because they are amazing, some of these games. And as I say, you look at The Last of Us, you look at Spider-Man, Miles Morales, you even look at the Call of Duties, they are outstanding technical achievements. That can't go without being said.
Yeah, and a lot of people on the lower rungs of the ladder in the game development who are integral in making it work, like, they still don't get the most fair in terms of pay. And I'm kind of happy to see prices go up if it means that artists and stuff like that are getting a bit more payment.
And therein goes the problem with a lot of the companies. That's not going to happen. It's going straight into Bobby Kotick's pocket, unfortunately.
Yeah. So in terms of
that's another discussion. We might bring that up as a separate discussion one day. Let's celebrate the next gen.
Yeah, let's go into some of the games that were announced last night.
Harry Potter. That's a nice, easy. No, we're not doing that.
We won't go into that one first.
No.
Let's start with Final Fantasy 16 because that's what they opened with,
Yes.
and I believe that was a very strong start for them to open up the showcase with.
Yeah, is that exclusive again?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it being a big deal when it wasn't. It went from not being exclusive, so it's actually
Yeah, that
deal.
was 13 is when it was stopped being exclusive.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
Except 11. 11 was because that was online, so that wasn't exclusive to PlayStation. But then 13, it came to Xbox 360.
God, that's so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really big deal, that game being exclusive.
Yeah.
And I always associate the Final Fantasy series with Sony since the 32-bit era. And because it was always associated with Nintendo and the SNES. But, that's so far back that it doesn't even count now.
And I think most people as well, their first experience of Final Fantasy was 7 anyway. That's when it hit the mainstream, I think. So, and that was a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah.
So does it look like, Bex, that it's going to have the kind of gameplay that you want based on what you saw?
I'm definitely intrigued, but I'm kind of like, the thing with Final Fantasy games is because they always start with a new realm that it's hard to, it's this weird dichotomy because, like, say when Spider-Man or, God of War comes out, you have a connection to what the story is, but with Final Fantasy, it's got this big name, but you don't know anything about the story.
Yeah, true.
So it's really weird when your trailer first drops because you're like, will this be good? Am I actually interested other than the fact that I get to ride a chocobo again?
Yeah.
And I get to hear a new variation of the chocobo theme.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy's like the National Lampoons of video games. It's like they put just Final Fantasy, but there's no connection between any of the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is odd because like 15 and Remake are so vastly different from Final Fantasy 7 that they're completely different games, like Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4. But yeah, no, it's intriguing, but it's going to net them a lot of money.
Mm. It's a return to high fantasy, which I'm intrigued about, and it's being worked on by a lot of the people who worked on Final Fantasy 14 and brought that back from the dead.
Right. Yeah.
So apparently there's a lot of influence of Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12 because the guy behind it, he's big into those titles in particular. And I personally love Tactics and 12. Like 12 isn't big on a lot of people's lists, but I loved it. And so if it's anything at all like them, I'm definitely keeping my eye on it at the very least.
The only issue I had with it, and someone brought it up on the live stream chat when we was watching it, was it looks a bit witchery. That there seems to be a bit of influence from The Witcher on there. Did that come across to you as a Final Fantasy fan, or?
Yeah, and to be honest, as a fan of also The Witcher, I am not totally against that because it does kind of, like, I loved seeing that the Malbro appearing and fighting it in a kind of marshy land. It could just be because, as well, it is the high fantasy setting again. We're not in this sci-fi kind of world. And when it comes to high fantasy and monsters, what we think now is Witcher.
Yeah.
I think next shown was Miles Morales, Spider-Man Miles Morales. That looked amazing.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks spectacular. I did joke that it looked a bit like a sequel to Infamous Second Son with all the neon. But yeah, that does look good.
It just, and I love that we got to see gameplay. We got to see how it, like, Miles moves differently to Peter compared to Spider-Man 1 and we've got the Harlem now, so we're opening up New York at the state like a bit more as well, because that was some concerns. It's like, we've already had New York, we've had Spider-Man going through New York, how is this going to be different?
Yeah.
And we're seeing how it's different. He moves differently, he has different kind of special abilities, the way he swings webs, he's got the invisibility going for him. It's just, yeah, and clearly, like, a big difference would be that Peter's family all knew about him being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They all knew. All the people close to him. It seems like only his friend knows, which is interesting.
Yeah. No, definitely. And And to be honest, Miles is the best Spider-Man anyway, so you know.
Yeah, I was super excited when I played as him in Spider-Man. I was like, oh my god, they brought in Miles Morales. This is amazing.
Yeah, he's a great character. But yeah, no, I think that Insomniac were possibly the best purchase Sony have ever done. I think an absolute amazing move, and they're technically brilliant, and they reached with Spider-Man, the previous one, the pinnacle of what they do. And I think that this game is a great launch title because it's not doing anything spectacular with the visuals or anything. It's not going to webtacular. Yeah, it's not going to like do anything massively ray traced or blah 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 blah. But what it does do, it will be incredibly slick, smooth. It have really good gameplay that people will relate to, great characters, the visuals, all of that. They're going to mesh beautifully, and it will be a great showcase for the speed of loading, which I know it's not stuff that people are talking about very much, but in terms of a next gen, this throughput of being able to put a game on and it just be loaded within a couple of seconds is going to be a complete game changer. And we know with Miles Morales that this is really going to do that. So getting around the city is going to be so much more enjoyable when you're getting into the game within like literally a couple of seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the next game that was up was Hogwarts Legacy.
Turf Wars.
Oh, crikey.
Terrible timing for what looks like an amazing game, but I know as much as Harry Potter and Hogwarts was part of my childhood, I can't in good conscience buy this game.
No,
and I almost don't want to discuss it because it's such a long discussion. But all I will say is I feel sorry for the staff at Avalanche, all of them, because I do wonder whether at any point they, like, before this was put out, they went, like, we want to put this game in our showcase. Can you do something? I was like, do we have to? Is it really a good time? And is there any way we can turn this into some kind of generic wizarding game and not have the Hogwarts name on it?
Yeah. No, I my heart goes out.
Yeah, because it looks fantastic.
I agree.
And this is the one time I don't even blame it being a AAA studio or anything like that and whatever. This is going to be heartbreaking for them. You've seen on Twitter already some of the staff, I mean, Tony Ray going, you know, you've got to disassociate the art from the artist sometimes. And I disagree with that, but you can tell they're hurting. All of them are hurting with regards to this, and it's just horrible to see. But again, this one, we're not going to bring this one. We will discuss this probably another time properly.
Yeah. Let's skip over the oops that is Hogwarts Legacies. Next up was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
I'm just going to sleep through that.
Yeah, me as well. Do you play them at all, Beck?
I haven't, but because they've been going back to kind of like the you know, they did World War II and now they're doing Cold War. As a history student who's interested in video games, I'd feel a bit remiss if I didn't at least try it out.
Yeah.
See where you know accuracies and inaccuracies are in terms of history and all that sort of thing, which I'm sure there's going to be loads.
In a Call of Duty game, you sure?
Yeah, it was very funny though because I was watching all the technology and I was like, did they have that during the Cold War that I remembered? Oh yeah, it only ended less than 30 years ago. Yeah, they would have some stuff like that.
It feels like a long time ago.
To
be fair, 2019 feels like a long time ago at the moment. So
that's true. That's true. I was talking to my brother who was a lot bigger into Call of Duty over the years. And he said, like, apparently they're bringing back a character from, like, previous games and stuff. And they are trying to bring it back into more story-based rather than let's put everything into multiplayer, which I like. So I am intrigued, but I'm not in any rush to play it.
No. I like the story stuff, and I did like Black Ops when that first hit, 'cause that done some interesting story stuff to it. I don't know. I think Call of Duty, I'd almost like to see him drop the name and just like do standalone games.
Yeah.
Spend more time on it rather than it just being another Call of Duty, because it's one of those things. It just automatically puts you back up a little bit. It's like, oh Christ, here we go. Here comes another one.
All right, well, we'll move on from Call of Duty and talk about Resi Village.
Yes.
Ooh. Well, for me, this is one of the standouts of the the most exciting of the new generation, just because they've been on fire, Capcom, with their releases recently. And big caveat, not really with Sony. I mean, I'll just get this on the PC. So it's great that it's there and they were presenting it, and it's great that it will be there. And it's like, oh yeah, they'll be on PS5. But it's not a system seller.
No.
But yeah, it's nice that it's there and it looks good.
It does.
The funniest thing was they've cut this trailer, and then it comes up with Village, Resident Evil, that bit there, and then someone's clearly gone, do you think that everyone's going to understand where the 8 is in this? And they've gone, I don't know. Right, okay, so look, let's have this bit at the end, because they put up Village, do that, then they had to show where the 8 is in the word Village to bring Village back in. So there's a game going around of how they're going to show off 9 for their next game. What's that one going to be called based on the IX?
Say, well, in certain clocks, it can be V and 4 eyes. So you never know.
So Village.
Yeah. Village!
Suburbs is the next one.
Yeah, and it's weird because they're kind of marketing it as Resident Village, but reminding you it is the 8th one.
Yeah.
I've never really played any Resi games, but just looking at this one, I'm like, I know that Resi 7 dropped on Game Pass not too long ago for PC. And I'm like, oh, I kind of want to play that in the lead up to Resi 8. And the only thing is, I would probably get it on console because I don't trust my computer to be able to run a lot of these stuff.
Are you a scaredy cat when it comes to horror games?
A bit, but I like it because scary video games are one of the few things that actually scare me. So unlike the other Rebecca who is absolutely terrified, I'm scared and I'm like, ooh, I want more. Ooh, I want more.
There's very rare, actually. It's a weird thing. The Resi games have never scared me. I played 7 in VR, and apart from the first jump scare, where I went, oh, that got me. It wasn't very scary, and I think I'm broken inside.
Yeah, you're a monster, Brad, because they are very scary games. Yeah, and there aren't very many. Oh, there are more now, but there are still not many that are very scary. But yeah, Bex, if you like that sort of stuff, if you like being sort of thrilled, scared, then they're really good for that.
I like my spookums. I like my spookums a lot.
Don't listen to the future psychopath here.
Yeah, not to.
Which, considering we're talking about spookums, let's skip ahead and talk about a game that shocked me when I seen the footage, because I was like, ooh, something spooky. I'm liking this set. Look at this. Oh my god, it's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
That really just came out.
What is that game now?
Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach.
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's was always like just you were in a room and you had to, do switches and stuff like that. And now apparently there's this
Fight Night Trap, but modern.
Yeah, and now apparently there's this like big area and you're first personing it as what sounds like a child going through this like giant Freddy Fazbear pizzas.
But where did the quality come from? Because I always just assumed it was like trash level game that was kind of like...
It has been. It's always been from a very small team, very low budget, and now suddenly they've got money.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to the guy who came up with it, who's made his millions from it. I can't deny him the success he's had. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
I was just saying, it's like trash that like they want YouTubers to react to, and that's what it does. And I looked and went, this is a real game. What? But apparently it's quite
PS5 Showcase.
Apparently there's quite a deep lore to the entire series that you can go quite deep into.
Oh yeah, no, Matt Pat's got you covered there.
Yes, that's where I first caught a glimpse of it. I'm going to be watching some game theory over the next few weeks, I think.
God, yeah, no, it just totally took me by surprise. I have written here in my notes, was fully intrigued as I love me some spookums, but found out FNAF.
Yeah, I was impressed.
I was like, you've almost got me considering playing it.
Sony do this, and Sony are brilliant at this. When they announced the PS4, they had that little indie guy who came out with his little Yarny model. I was so pleased with himself. He was obviously still quite nervous at being out there. I wanted to tell you the story about his wonderful 2D platformer that was purely indie, and it was beautiful. And it was stuck in the middle of all these massive like next gen announcements for the PlayStation 4 and everything.
Yeah.
They love to do that, so they love to throw this just random title in there that clearly doesn't fit. And Unravel ended up being an okay game. I'm not going to praise it to the hill, but I love that they do that. I love they just throw in a curveball now and again with whatever their presentation is.
Yeah. We'll go back to Deathloop. Deathloop got a bit more of an extended kind of look at gameplay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened.
I missed that part of it.
I don't know what to make of it. It looks interesting.
Yeah.
And it reminded me aesthetically a little bit of Mud. And I dare say I'm the only person who even knows what that game is at the moment. But it was an Eliza Dushku-led video game where she played like an all-action assassin hero thing. And it had that kind of grindhouse style aesthetic to it, which the presentation of the cinematics has for this kind of almost grindhousey type thing, but the game itself doesn't, and it's just kind of really weird. But I mean, I'm intrigued. It's one I'm intrigued about, but it's not selling me on, this is a reason to have next gen, let alone this is a reason to get this specific console. It felt like a weird one to have in there. Sorry, I was like Eliza Dushku and what? Yeah.
I was very confused, but yeah, I can kind of see what you're getting at with that aesthetic from what I can see of it.
Eliza Dushku made a game. What?
Yeah, I'd never heard of it. That's all, and I was just.
No, as I said, I think I'm one of the only people that actually played it and actually liked it at the same time.
Yeah, I liked how Deathloop, like, they kind of expanded on how you're like manipulating the time loops. Like, you're like, oh well, I have to kill all 8 people within one night, but this guy, like, he's so far away from the other guy, I could get them to do it at the same time. So it is interesting, but it's still like, still just don't know what to make of it.
I
tell you what it is, Stu. This is launch title game. That, this is launch window, innit? This is exactly what you get. You kind of look and go, oh wow, that's it. Oh, I easily forgot about that by the end.
Yeah, it's strange. There's something about it that it doesn't put me off, but it just makes me feel like meh, and I can't really describe why. Very strange. Yeah.
As I said, it's pure launch title. Yeah. This is exactly what it is.
Yeah, if it comes on Game Pass, I'll give it a try. But I mean, that could just be your mantra for everything, couldn't it? So, yeah.
So far, Stu's going, that game on PlayStation, it's a good one. I'll get that somewhere else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are either of you are you boys fans of Devil May Cry? Because 5 Special Edition is coming.
Yeah, but I've got it.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, it seemed very much like a love letter to the hardcore DMC fans.
Yeah,
because you had a lot of, like Virgil and stuff like that. Like, you had a lot of extra stuff that they were like, oh, but
yeah.
I've got a theory here, though. I've got a theory. I reckon at that point of the show,
as theories,
there was another game they was meant to be showing that was not ready in time to show.
Oh, what was that one?
That's what I personally reckon, because Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, that's not something you announce for a launch of a new console. That's not in there at all. So I think that was a last-minute replacement for something.
Yeah, to be honest, it felt like that as well. I was like, oh, because when I looked at it, I was like, oh, is there a new Devil May Cry? And then I was like,
Devil May Cry 6.
I was like, oh, it's a special edition. Like, that's strange. It's like announcing Persona 5 Royal. Like, it's not. Like, yeah, it's exciting for the fans, but it's not something you would add for your launch.
What was that Capcom game that they showed off in the was it the Xbox reveal with the spaceman walking through the city and there's a young girl and there's holograms and stuff?
Yeah, I think they showed that during the PlayStation 5 reveal of itself.
Yeah. Maybe they were intending to show more of that than couldn't. I don't know.
Possibly, I don't know, but yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so then next up was Oddworld Soulstorm.
for me, that's one I'm really intrigued in. I love the Oddworld games, so I will be getting that regardless. But again, is that an exclusive? See, this is the thing I'm losing now. Is that an exclusive or is that multi-plat?
I would have thought it'd be exclusive.
It's coming on PC. It's console exclusive.
Oh, okay. See, because that again, that's had a weird history. I mean, because that was the first Oddworld game was PlayStation exclusive, and then you've got Microsoft bought the rights to the next gen one at the time because the PlayStation couldn't run it, so they bought it, and that was a big thing. Then it went multi-platform for Stranger's Wrath. Then you had the remakes or the remakes of them, the remasters, whatever you want to call them.
New and tasty.
And they were multi-platform.
Yeah.
And now this has gone to a console exclusive. That's some weird history for the Oddworld games.
Yeah. No, Sony, like they know that their like bread and butter is exclusive, so they clearly just put like a lot of cash monies down.
Yes, yeah, totally.
They want their babies back as well. They seem to be going back to, if we had it exclusive on the PS1, we're having it exclusive again.
I think that ties in exactly with the stuff we were talking about with carving out the niche, because that's got to be their niche, because Game Pass tends to have multi-plat stuff. There's only a handful of Microsoft Studios stuff on it. So, yeah, no, it's going to be the thing that differentiates them.
And I'm still hoping for a new Ape Escape. Every generation, I want a new Ape Escape.
I'd love a new Ape Escape, or even just a remaster of a remake of the first one, because that was unreal.
That's okay. When you talk about a game that sort of like showed off a new technology,
that game,
used analog sticks, and that's the one that really sold it to me for the very first time.
Yeah, no, I remember that, and I was like, oh, I got to learn this new mechanic. But that also makes it really hard to emulate.
It does, yeah, on like emulation devices, I assume you mean, rather than Yeah, you can't. I've tried that. You can't play that on anything other than a proper console.
Yeah, I've tried. It's heartbreaking. That's why I really want a remaster of it, because I'm like, let me play it again. I will pay whatever. Let me just play it again. It was so good.
Yeah, you do your £70 version. Fine, I'll buy it.
I'll buy it. I'd buy that too. I'd buy a remaster of Apescape sooner than I'd buy the Mario 3D All Stars.
Well, yeah, especially because if Sony release it, you probably get that like either on release or, God forbid, in a few years' time. Rather than you've got a window in which to buy it.
Yeah, and then and as well, I'm asking for a remake, not just let's just port them to the Switch. But that's another discussion.
Yeah, that's another special.
Oh dear! This shows how bad 2020 is getting. Nintendo have gone from the saviours of gaming to somehow being like the worst. Microsoft have just gone to everyone. Do you know what? Do what you want.
Yeah.
They've become like the. They're sitting back and going, just play the games, man. Whatever. However, you want to play there for a couple of quid a month? Yeah, you go ahead. And Sony have gone, do you remember how we launched the PlayStation? How good it was? Yeah, we're doing that again.
Yep.
We're just going back to PlayStation while we're getting the big exclusives, and we're just going, yeah, this is gaming again.
Yeah.
It's just a really weird situation in the whole gaming circle at the moment.
Oh, it's so strange.
It's always member berries, isn't it? It's just no matter what.
I'm member.
Yeah. So what was up next? What was the next
Demon Souls.
Oh yeah.
Now, I have never played a Soulsborne to the point where I refuse, because people are always like, I want to watch you play a Soulsborne. It'll be so funny. You'll get so annoyed. And I'm like, no, I just refuse on principle. But this is making me want to play because it just looks amazing. It looks so satisfying in the fighting and everything. I'm just like, oh, you're pretty. Let me have you.
So, here's the thing. I don't like Soulsborne games, but I love Soulsborne games. Soulsborne games. Well, Soulsborne sounds like an interesting sport. But yeah, I hate them, but I like them. And the reason being, I'll dig it out and I'll link somewhere, wherever we put this audio, whether it's with a video or whatever. I'll link to the video of me playing Bloodborne. I've done a series back in my GameStyle days. And on one of them had my multiple attempts at Father Gascoigne. And the moment I defeated him, I let out what can only be described as a noise I've never made before.
Or since.
Such was my excitement. Yeah, or since. Such was my excitement and relief at doing it. And I think the Soulsborne games, and especially Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne, over any of the others, produce a feeling of dread and satisfaction and joy and hatred that no other game can do. And I'm going to be with people that be saying you should give them a go, because, yeah, you should definitely give them a go.
Yeah, no. Seeing Demon Souls last night, it's been really tempting, and I have like at least Bloodborne, and I think at least one of the Dark Souls on PlayStation from like various PS Plus like free games. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna have to look into kind of testing the waters and seeing that is.
Well, from a pure technical perspective on the reveal, it looks absolutely phenomenal.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't like the games. I don't like that style game, but I want to own it just because it's so damn pretty.
Yeah.
It's amazing looking. Yeah.
Yeah, like once that's out, it's kind of like, okay, who's playing it on Twitch? Give it to me now. I want to see.
Yeah.
Just
Hook
like,
it to my veins.
oh yeah, it's just
New Point, another one of those companies, I think, along with is it Panic Button? I might be getting the other company wrong. Who you give them any game and they will port it, and you just look at it and just go, "Wow."
they remastered versions of God of War. They did Shadow of Colossus, and they also did the Nathan Drake collection. But the remake of Shadow of Colossus, which was seen as really beautifully done.
Yeah, it was the high point of that kind of thing. And Demon Souls looks, to me, like there might be some ray tracing in it. And if so, that's one of the few launch titles that will. And it's a good way to try and get people into understanding why ray tracing is so good. I mean, if it turns out that it's not, and it's just really, it's just temporal anti-aliasing or whatever, or then that's going to be making me look stupid. But no, it looks like it's pulling some really good stuff with lighting.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're hoping for from the next gen is that use of depth of shadow and depth of color and depth of lighting in real time that will really make things pop and really cement it as a next gen experience. And yeah, Demon Souls looks like that, and it kind of makes your eyes both bleed and tear up in joy at the same time.
I'll be getting that when I do get a PlayStation 5, whether it's early or whether it's late, I don't know, but that's on my guaranteed list.
I made myself sad because it says here remake of Demon Souls co-developed with SIE Japan Studios, and my mouse hovered over it and it said most well known for Ape Escape, and I'm like,
oh no, insult to injury.
Yeah. Okay, so next up, what revealed was Fortnite. Who didn't see that the big money-making game is continuing to next gen? I sure was surprised.
Yeah, I was so excited.
Who cared at all? Even Epic, no, because that trailer was so short.
Yeah.
Even Epic, no one cares.
No, I certainly do not give a toss. So after that, they showed the PS Plus collection, which we've already discussed.
Yeah.
Then it was the price reveal, and then they were like, "We've got one last thing to show you," and I could have cried because this is the game I want. I've been wanting this since I finished God of War 1 in 2018. I want God of War Ragnarok, and it is coming.
Show me something, though.
Yeah, I know.
Something, not just a logo.
Yeah.
That is the worst. Don't ever, because everyone knew it.
Yeah, everyone who played the first game, who completed it, knew it was coming.
Yeah. Oh, here comes God of War. Even I was excited by that, and I went, oh,
that's it.
Not even a title properly, because I'm assuming the game isn't called Ragnarok is Coming.
No, it's God of War Ragnarok, and see what I liked about it though is that it confirmed that even though we know it was going to become eventually, it was kind of like, here's a window. It's coming sooner than you may have even dared dream, because a lot of people were like, we're not going to hear anything about God of War today. We'd love to hear about it, but we're not going to. And then they dropped 2021.
Yeah, and that's got to mean holiday season. So yeah, November next year, which is
they've got nothing to show. They've got nothing to show, because if they did, I mean, even just like they could have had Kratos or whatever, just show his face a little bit, reveal his face, or reveal maybe a sneak like bit of Ragnarok, or just something a bit more subtle than just a logo. I was like, that's not how you end the show. That's not quite how you do it. You'd had to have pulled something like, if you're going to just do a logo reveal as a mic drop moment to do it, this is where they turn around and just reveal the Forza Motorsport logo or the Halo logo or something like that. Say, look, hey, that's a get for you. See you later.
Well, I don't think it lands. Yeah, I don't think it lands with me and you and stuff, but I think for a wider audience, it's probably enough. I mean, we're jaded, old, cynical gamers, but I think, for younger people and people who were obsessed with the game, I think it'll be enough to perk a bit of interest and give them a bit of confidence in the release schedule.
No, that's what it did for me. It was like, oh my God, it's coming next year. Okay, I got to start saving for the PS5 now. Because
so it worked.
that is like everything else I can wait. But for God of War Ragnarok, I can't, because I was very fortunate to know someone who had the game when it launched, and I played it, I platinumed it. I want to go back again and play it again before Ragnarok comes out. And like, I'm a big mythology fan. I'm big, like, just that style of game fan. The way it was done, the storytelling was amazing, the art was amazing, and I knew myself, I was like, I'm not in a big rush for a PS5 until God of War Ragnarok comes out. And that literally pushed me to kind of go, you got to start saving for a PS5 now.
Yeah, I think what it shows overall as well from what they displayed, what was notable from the absence. So there was no Horizon sequel, and there was nothing more on Gran Turismo 6. So I think what it's sort of subtly saying to us is everything that you saw is going to be launch window, so within the first few months, if not on day one. Anything that was like Ragnarok will be within the first year.
Yeah.
But you can forget about Horizon and you can forget about Gran Turismo. They're 2022 or later, I reckon.
If God of War Ragnarok releases in 2021, I will be very, very surprised still, though.
To be honest, like, I would be surprised if it released, especially with everything that's going down. Hold on, I'm seeing if there's been any information on Horizon Forbidden West. It's set to be released.
As well. I'm fed up with everyone calling it Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Yes, Horizon Forbidden West. It's just saying 2021, but I think there was something about it being, it's cross-platform for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. That's why I was wondering. I was like, because it can't be too far off if they're still doing PlayStation 4.
Yeah. And also it was further back than God of War, wasn't it, in release terms? So, they've had more time on it.
It was 2017 with Horizon Zero Dawn, and it was 2018 for God of War.
Fair enough.
What was everyone's takeaway? What was their overall impression of the showcase?
I'll go first, because I'm going to let Rebecca close out on this on this discussion. So, because she's the fan. For me, I went from my whole theme's gone from a few weeks ago going, well, I'm not entering the next gen because I'm not in a position to do so. So, well, I'm clearly going Xbox for the next gen, to I can feasibly get both, and I kind of want both. And there's games I want on the PlayStation 5. So, I'm in.
Yeah.
I won't be going for the full fat version, because it's just, I can't justify the extra £100 on it, especially when I look up and I see the minimal amount of game discs I actually have. I can't justify it. I'll just wait for sales and stuff like that, because digital sales do really well now. So that's who I am. But I've gone from probably being out to I'm in.
Cool. Yeah, from my perspective, I was expecting to not be very impressed by the show. I thought it was all right until the end, and then I thought it was amazing. I thought that the way that they just dropped, and it's going to be way cheaper than you expected, and they're going to have this amazing PS Plus type dealio in competition with Game Pass, and I think that on its own knocked it out of the park. And sort of game roster aside, game roster is always a bit secondary, which sounds weird, but when it's a new a new generation, it's kind of like, well, yeah, we know that games are going to come. We know that the first few are going to be just tarted up ports or, something that doesn't take full advantage. And there'll be a little outlier that was really good that you didn't expect. So I've kind of like been through all of that in my head loads of times. But yeah, I thought that the positioning and the price point was great, much more accessible. And I think it's going to do a lot better very quickly than I even thought it was going to.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bex, what was your overall impression?
Pretty sold on getting a PlayStation 5 because there were certain exclusives I wanted, and Sony's presentation last night basically felt like they were like, don't worry, we are making this worth your while.
Yeah.
I know we know we've already got you, Bex, but don't worry, your money is going to be well spent because look at what we're giving you.
Yeah.
And I was delighted.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have a tendency, well, I do, to be too pragmatic sometimes, and it sucks the fun out of it. But I thought, yeah, it was fun as well. Yeah, and I'm glad that it fired up people's imaginations.
And the hour-long presentation was a nice sweet spot as well.
Yes, yeah.
It didn't feel overly long. Most of it was on point, did what it had to do. I say a couple of weird turns with having the Devil May Cry in there just seemed a bit odd. The unfortunateness of the Hogwarts game, but there's very little. A lot of this is in place, obviously, way ahead of time, and obviously contractually they probably couldn't remove the Hogwarts game or anything like that as well. So
yeah.
I thought it was a really, really good presentation, and I think what it's done, it was cemented buyers who were getting it anyway, then now cemented in. And it would have turned a few people into doubters, into probably purchases at some point. So, yeah, I think that was both companies as well, I think, had really good months when it came to presentations of what they're bringing to the next gen. And I'll say it again, the only winners is us.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It feels good to be the winner for once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, both companies have looked at what's going to happen in the next 2-3 years where people haven't got the disposable income, and they've given us options because they know if they don't, they're not selling.
Yeah.
I know it's so they can make as much money as possible. I'm not stupid. I'm not naive. I know this is all done with a view to how can we get the most money possible. But when doing that allows us to get better things, I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm going to be a very happy gamer in this new decade.
Yes, if we're all still alive in that decade,
Yeah.
but
Well,
discussion.
at least next year or so.
Yeah, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, but we might all be stuck indoors with nothing else to do but play video games again. So there is that.
Hooray! Best year ever.
What a time to be a gamer.
Exactly.
What a time to have a wrist injury. I really need to heal that.
You do. You're slacking on your writing. It's disgusting. But no, it's obviously, guys, been a pleasure discussing this one.
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah.
If you like what we do, then obviously you can follow us on Twitch, on YouTube. We've got the podcast that goes out on a weekly basis. And we have bonus podcasts that focus more around pop culture stuff on our Patreon. You get early access to our podcast on our Patreon as well, unedited, so all our mistakes are left in. Support us there if you wish. Again, nothing to do with mental health is ever gated, so you're not losing out if you don't. It's just extras for those who do fancy it. Join our Discord if you ever need to chat, whether it's about mental health issues, whether it's about games, whether it's about films, books, TV, sports, not sports apparently because no one does, that's fine. Anything, it's there. The Discord is there for you, and we're on Twitter and Facebook. And until next time, thank you for listening. Take care.